Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony Demakis with Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales. And the Manufacturing Alliance podcast is powered by Alliance Specialties in Laser Sales, where we do all things laser welding, laser engraving. We are mold makers that don't build molds. We do all the other stuff, right? The polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner manifold repair, preventative mold maintenance. And we also build a full line of laser welding and engraving equipment, everything from tool room laser welding to full-on production welding with automation and robots and the whole nine yards. The best part is it's all built here in Illinois, right down the street from where we're at currently. So about 15 minutes from here is our R&D, our laser R&D facility, where we develop all that stuff. So that's us in a nutshell. If you need any information on what we do and who we are, you can go to our website at alliancelasersales.com and you can find it there. Or you can always reach out to me. You can always make comments on the show. I love answering those questions. It's like my favorite thing ever. No, my favorite thing ever is when we have tours here and we get to brag about everything that we do day in and day out. So that's always super fun for me. This is like, second or third on the list, talking to new people from Zoom. But when people are here, it's amazing. We've got a couple things coming up. They're both going to take place in a few weeks out in Anaheim, California. We are going to be at MD&M West, which is going to be in Anaheim the week of the 7th through the 9th is the actual show dates. But there's bookend events on both sides of that. So on Monday the 6th, we're starting something new. We're trying a new initiative. We want to give back to the communities. We want to continue to make an impact on the people around us. And so what we've done is we've started a new initiative called E210, and it's based on Ephesians 2:10, which basically says that we are workmanship, right? We are created for a purpose. We are created to go out and help other people and do things in communities and make an impact wherever we can. And so our first event is going to be on that Monday. This is brand new. We've never done this before. It doesn't cost anything. All we want is time and effort. And let's be honest, the day before a trade show kicks off is never the most optimal time to do this, but that's why it's sacrifice, right? If it was easy, then it wouldn't be called a sacrifice. And so all we're looking for is about 2 hours of time. We're going to be partnering with Saddleback Church, and we're going to be working in the grocery distribution center. So what does that mean? It means that every hour that we spend there, each person is providing about a week's worth of food for a family in need. So if you have 2 hours of your life that you'd be willing to donate and make a difference in somebody's life, then we want you to come out. There's information on LinkedIn. I can send out more information as well. So if you're interested in participating in that at all, go ahead and leave a chat in the comments, whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. Or you can email me at tony@alliancelasersales.com, and I'll be happy to give you information. I'm tempted to just throw my cell phone number out there, but we'll see. Because everybody needs more spam calls, right? So that's on Monday. And then at the end of the week, there's going to be a golf outing supporting our friends over at iWarriors. Rick Finney and Jerry from MR Mold are putting together the first golf outing of its kind out in the California, Anaheim area. So there are still plenty of spots available for you to register. And all you have to do is go to iWarriors. What is that? iWarriors Golf, MR Mold. .eventlify.com. It's really small on my screen. I can't see it great, but it's iWarriors Golf MR Mold.eventlify.com. And you can get all the information for the event there. And if you're not familiar with iWarriors, it's a cause that we support every year with our outing. iWarriors donates iPads to combat wounded veterans so that they feel a part of what's happening, so that they can be reminded that people care about them, so that we can say thank you and show gratitude for those combat wounded veterans that put it all on the line to protect our freedoms. And so this is a way for us to give back to them. It also helps them when they're in rehab, being able to talk to their loved ones, and there's a PTSD software that's specifically put on these iPads. So it's not just so they can play, Fruit Ninja or Minecraft or look on TikTok or whatever it is. These iPads actually serve a real purpose for these veterans, and so it's really exciting for us to be able to partner and be out there for this event. And we're hoping that you can join us. And like I said, if you want to go ahead and visit that website, I know it's going to be a good time. These events are always full of ridiculousness and networking and fun. And really, it's about giving back. So even if you suck at golf, it's typically better than being in the office. So talk to your employees, talk to the people in charge, or maybe you are the person in charge, and just come out and let's have fun and do that. Okay. So those are the things. That's the bookend. So you can make a difference that whole week long, and make this trip extra worth it. A couple housekeeping things. This is a live show. Sometimes we have a lot of people listening, sometimes we don't, but we don't know unless you chime in. So we do a live show on purpose because a lot of the times the things that we're talking about, they stir up some thoughts in your brain. And there's nothing worse than when you're listening to a podcast and you have comments and there's no way to get those answered. And so you just end up talking to yourself in the car or on the treadmill or whatever that is. And that kind of sucks. And so now you can actually type it in the chat and you can let us know what you're thinking and engage in the conversation. So this is not just an opportunity for me to talk at people. It's a chance to talk with people. And that's what I love. So that's the one. Is that the last housekeeping thing, Vanessa? Yes. Okay. So now on to the show. I'm excited today. We got a guy that I've been able to hang out with a few times. Just at our golf outing, at different industry trade shows, at different things. He spoke at the mold making conference a few months back. And I just love his energy and his positivity when it comes to the industry and what he's got going on. So Zakary Smith is with us. How are you, my friend? Let's bring you in here. There he is.
Great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Welcome to the show. It's good to have you on, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be great.
So I'm gonna throw this out there, and I think what you do is I don't fully understand it, right? And I know you and I have had conversations, but I feel like you're so involved with so many different things that it's not just like one niche thing. It's like when I was talking to J.R. Hammer and I was telling him everything we did, and he was like, "Dude, you guys are like a Greek restaurant menu. Why so much stuff? Like, focus in." But I think you're kind of like that, right? There's 3 different businesses that you gave us names to. And so before we fully jump in, why don't you let people know who you are and what you got going on?
Yeah, great. I appreciate it. So I love the Greek restaurant analogy. I'm from New York originally, and I love a good diner. So so yeah, there's a few companies that I'm running right now and a part of. I'll start with Instaversal because that's really how things kicked off. So Instaversal is a full service product development consulting company. So we do everything from design consulting, predictive engineering modeling, industrial design, materials engineering, supply chain. The hypothesis with that company is a lot of times as you're developing products, you might not have the right resource at the right time, and you might not need to necessarily employ that person full time, but having access to those people, those expertise, that knowledge, that experience is critical. So that's what Instaversal does. And in the process of working with engineering firms on the consultancy aspect of that, we've gone and also developed our own products and solutions. So on the Cool Tool side of things, it's specifically a turnkey solution for 3D metal printed mold inserts used for injection mold processes. So we do predictive analytics to confirm how a specific design can improve cycle time and quality for injection molded parts. It's a software-driven solution because not only do we do the predictive modeling, but we have design automation on the 3D printed tools. And in the process of developing that product, we started getting involved in Industry 4.0. And we realized, hey, like understanding the process level data with regard to injection molding could yield better results. So we initiated a part of that product, which was Cool Tool 4.0, which was the real-time monitoring of those mold inserts. And in doing so, we formed a partnership with a company called Mata Inventive, who does this not just for injection molding, but Industry 4.0 as a whole. So Mata Inventive really is the foundational element to our Industry 4.0 solutions, where we do analog and digital sensor connectivity for industrial operations. And the purpose of that is to help find bottlenecks in operations and also monitor real-time profitability. So you could get a sense in real time of what's going well and what needs to be focused on with an operation, from everything from finance at the technician level, operations as a whole, machine data. So yeah, those are the kind of the three core companies I'm working at now, and how they all tie together.
So, like I said, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes.
So
Busy
which,
mornings, busy nights.
yeah, and busy in between, right?
For sure. Yeah.
And but it's a good thing. It keeps you on your toes, and I think it probably stems from wanting to be a solution provider in all regards.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting point. I think what really drives us day to day is that exactly. It's we work a lot of times. We'll get calls and like, I've been trying to solve this problem and I can't get the problem solved. So it's really working with the people at these companies to help them get over that hump, and giving them like the tools and the resources for them to fulfill like their vision. That's really what drives us day to day.
Is that where the vision for Instaversal was?
Yeah, that's exactly it, and that's what's behind the name actually. So we wanted to. The goal is to provide like an instantaneous access to the resources, and in a universal way. So that's where the name Instaversal comes from.
So which resources exactly? People resources, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a combination. So with all like the technology we're working with, like the technology is great, but for us, it's really about the people.
Yep.
At the end of the day, like we're working with people, we're trying to deliver solutions for people. So
Yep.
it's like it's the marriage of those two, I would say, where it's we bring the right people with the right knowledge base, but a lot of their capabilities and their efforts is driven with the use case of software, right?
Okay.
It could be modeling software, it could be predictive software, but there's a lot of software behind the solutions that we're providing that is being like ran by humans.
Right. So you have a company XYZ, right? They find out about you and they say we're having a problem trying to do what? What does that look like?
Yeah, I'll give an example of recent down here in Southern California that we worked with. So there's a really large like industrial recycling facility that we're working with, and they the analogy he gave is like my Tesla could
Right.
drive itself, but I don't know what's happening like on my manufacturing line, like
Okay.
in real time. And it's very complex, discrete systems on this manufacturing line processing recycled material. It's really about like the circular economy with what they're doing. So he wants to be able to see in real time, is his line moving? How much? What's the utilization of that line? How much weight of material is being processed?
Okay.
And so what we do is we go in like with those to that equipment, for example, and we're able to extract that data in real time and then do post-process analytics to digest it and then present it in a form where he can make the right business decisions. Whereas before it was the information would come delayed and there could be inaccuracies to the information because of the human element of entering in the data. So now it's data extraction from the machines directly, and then the post analytics on that machine is that use case specifically. That's on like the machine monitoring side. I'll give another example on like the mold side, if that's okay.
Sure,
So
please.
I had another call last week, and it was with a development studio of they make it's an electrical company. They make electrical fittings, and for them, like time to market is very important, and they're looking
Yep.
for ways where they could go through the injection molding process very quickly. So this is where our cool tool product comes in, because traditionally you have to like start from a block of material and cut it down, and that takes a lot of time. But when we print the mold, you start with a net near shape of the cavity and core, so the print takes a lot shorter amount of time compared to the traditional machining process. So we're able to skip days, and if not weeks, on both the design side of that and the production side of that. So you could get to your initial shots of the mold faster. So everything we're doing is really like we're focusing on efficiency, which enables a competitive advantage for the companies taking like using these technologies.
So I agree with you that time is of the essence, right? That's a major thing. People don't have time to wait for products now. How is it as affordability? Is there a comparison with the cost of traditional building versus printing?
It's pretty close. I'd say it's still a little bit more expensive, um, but there's two economic benefits to it. So one is if like speed to market is important to you, I think it's actually cost less. I got a really good explanation of this back when I was studying businesses. With a product that launches, you have like an entry point into the market where you could start collecting revenue, and at some point that your product is going to be phased out due to a race to the bottom on like competition coming in, or just like a next version of that product coming to
Yep.
light. So like the ability to get to market defines a huge segment of your revenue. So if
Yep.
you think about it like that, like paying a little bit more to get to market faster and capturing larger revenue over a period of time, there's cost savings there. That's one way we look at it. And then the other way to consider is a lot of what we do on the predictive modeling side is we could guarantee shorter cycle times, which in effect will reduce your part cost. So for high volume part production, it's a great application to actually save money, where it might be more expensive on the tooling side, but you save money for the overall program efforts.
So how are you able to guarantee that it's going to be shorter cycle times?
Yeah, so we use predictive modeling software. So we will actually set up the tool. We'll define the cooling channels, the cooling material, tool materials, part material, flow rates, and we run this through a simulation where you actually could say design A with traditional mold making versus design B with the conformal channels, which are capable because of additive manufacturing, will drive and yield increased time. Time is money, and then you could define how much money you actually save over the life of the tool based on the parts you're producing. So that's one of the software applications and how we're like using it with regard to production manufacturing.
So what's cool is like you have three businesses that seem different, but they're all tied in together to give people the best opportunity for success, I guess, right?
It is tied together, yeah. Because on the product development consultancy, we get in early and we help like a lot. We could design the product, for example, or yeah, design the product, right? And then by the time it's going into production, we have tools that help you get to market faster and save money in production. And then the monitoring technology, a lot of times we'll build tools and then help monitor in real time to make sure it's actually producing at the cadence you've expected to. There's a case in Mexico right now we're working on where they the owner is here, and he lives in both countries and he has factories in both countries, and he's wants to, like, at the end of the day he relies on a report of how many parts are produced, but we can actually see like the opening and closing of the tool and how many parts he's expecting to get, and then
Yeah.
if there's less that come in, what like the yield could be, for example. So it's really the full end-to-end use case of design through production.
Okay. So how did you get into this? How did you go from, coming from Europe? You said you're from Europe originally. How did you go from coming from Europe to coming here to starting and maybe not starting. I don't know. I want to hear from you. Becoming the CEO of these three different things in this particular industry. What does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. So, just one small correction, not a big deal. I'm from New York originally. It's kind of the
Okay.
European
Gotta
city.
go.
Yeah. But the reason the Greek analogy was cool because there's so many diners and all the diners are
Oh, yeah,
Greek.
yeah.
So
I got you.
I know, yeah, I know what it's like to appreciate the menus they have there for sure. I miss the food a little bit. Food out here in California is good, but nothing like the East Coast. Um,
Well, if you
so,
miss the diners, I feel like every Greek diner is exactly the same. They got the Greek diners were doing glass partitions before COVID was cool. That's
that
just
is very
always
true.
been a thing. It's just
Yeah.
glass dividers with fish and like the Acropolis and everything else. And they have every food you could possibly want. Not all of them are good. Some of them are just mediocre, but they have it.
Yeah.
Like
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And some of it's better than others. You gotta know what you're getting for sure.
French toast. You just
So
go with
yeah.
French toast and you're good.
Yeah. So yeah, I went to Northeastern University in Boston. So I got a dual degree in mechanical engineering and tech entrepreneurship. My practice as an engineer for a while. I worked in a lot of different roles as in process engineering, manufacturing engineering, design engineering. And then I moved to California right after I graduated, working on an aerospace company, which was fun. And I was designing for a lot of these processes that I now work closely with. And then for a while, I worked at a contract manufacturer dealing very closely with CNC machining, injection molding, supporting companies like Google and Tesla. I worked a bunch on like the Model 3 work, getting a lot of their battery packs to market. And just, I think working in industry, getting that experience was really critical. And
Yep.
just like learning and observing. And then working in those industries, I realized there's some gaps. And I think there was a pivot at some point where I said, it was one of the hardest decisions I ever made, but kind of take that leap of faith to just go start a business. And this is what it's evolved in over the last several years after making that full leap.
So it was just basically there's a cartoon you probably never saw it called Robots, and in the cartoon Robots they say find a need, fill a need. So you're just doing your job. You're looking around. You're going, there are gaps in the process. Somebody should come up with something for this.
Yeah, definitely. That's part of it. I think there's something innate from an entrepreneurship perspective too. My grandfather started like an advertising company back in the day, and it was like doing print ads, and it evolved with radio and commercials once TVs came down. And my sister's running that company now, and they do like web development, so it's evolved quite a bit. So I just think, you know, as you have behind you, American made. It's really the American spirit of like, what we're doing today is not good enough for tomorrow. And I think as a community, like that's waking up each day and working with people that are excited about like that continuous improvement. It's not about being dissatisfied with what we have now. Like it's so important to be present and appreciative for what we have, but it's just something to look forward to, like constantly working on that, the capacity and the ability and the privilege to make things better, really.
Well, yeah, because you don't want to get stagnant, right? You don't want to just rest on your laurels and just think this is as good as it's going to get. There's always another level that we can get to, right?
Yeah, always. Yeah,
I
and
think
a lot of times you don't even know what that is.
right there's
So
an
you kind
idea
of,
with being satisfied and stagnant, right? I think it's good to say I like where we're at right now, but let's keep pushing, right? Not just let's sit here forever. And I think there's a lot of companies that gonna get stuck in that rut where things are okay and they think they're good, but good only lasts so long, and then it just becomes what it is. And unless you're putting some of those things in place, you're not going to overcome that. You're not going to reach that next level.
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, I think that's why you see some of these, yeah, like a turn of companies that might have been around for a while, they lose that spirit, and it's super critical long term to keep things moving.
I think that's a lot what happened with companies closing during COVID, where they just kind of sat back and then things dried up and they had nowhere to go because they weren't investing any time or resources or being willing to take that next step or try something new to develop something new and stay relevant.
Yeah, for sure. On that point, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Yeah. So for the products that you're making, like what are some of the initiatives over the last like few years that you've built in, and some of the like differentiating aspects for how, tool makers are leveraging them?
Yeah, so thank you. So the reason we started making the laser welding and engraving systems we did is because we had vendors in Germany. We still work with them, and we told them we have five at the time. It was like 3 or 4 or 5 guys welding, and we said this is the machine that we want. We want the machine that does this, 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 and this. We want it to be a fiber laser welding system. We want to have the capability to do this. And our partner said, no, that's not possible. We're not going to do this. You can buy what we have. And we said, no, no, no. We really think this is going to be important. We think there's a huge advantage with going with a fiber laser technology versus a YAG technology. We think that the market is going to go this way. We want your help. We want you to help us build it. And they said, no, we're not going to do that. And you can buy what we have to offer. And we said, we can, or we can just do it ourselves. And so we started looking into what it would look like to build a fiber laser system. The first one took us about 2.5 years, maybe 3 years to get it off the ground. And that was okay because nobody knew anything about it. So as long as it took was whatever it took. And so we used engineers that we had on staff. Jeremy, who at the time was just doing laser engraving work for us. I shouldn't say just. He was a laser engraver. He was running that department. And he had a background with knowing SolidWorks and being able to think those things through. And so between my father and Doug and Jeremy and the team of welders we have, we set out to create a system. And the goal was always an affordable fiber laser system because fiber is more reliable than a YAG system. So it had to be fiber that was affordable and did what a tool room needed to do. So what does that mean? It means we took out all the bells and whistles that we thought were unnecessary, that our guys never used. And we have our own market research of people that weld every single day. So we didn't even have to go out and ask people, what do you need out of a laser welding system? We knew. And so the first thing we did is we cut out the teach mode because nobody uses it. When you're looking at repairing parts, every part is different, right? Nobody damages something in the same area. Nobody blows the same shutoff. So by the time you teach it, you could have just welded it. And so we thought if we eliminate that, then we can cut the cost because now we don't have to invest in the technology and the engineering behind it. Let's just make this a machine that people need and can work. And it's been really well received. There are some times now where people say we need teach mode because company XYZ has it. And it's like, okay, well, we don't have it. We don't need it. Like if you spend some time with the machine, you're going to be good enough and you're going to be able to do that. And so again, to your point, it was looking at what a customer might need and then building around that scope, right? So you don't put in tank treads to make the laser drive down the street because who needs that? It's extra money. It looks really cool. It looks like, Johnny Five from Short Circuit and it's pretty cool looking and it's unique. But at the end of the day, when you're welding, how does that improve the customer experience? How does that improve the result? And so everything that we want to build has to have that customer centered focus and serve a need and meet a need of what our customers want and what they're looking for. And I can go down the whole line of all the machines that we've made. So we have a fixed workstation. Sorry, there's a fuzz. We have a fixed workstation machine that came about because we have a company, Bus Precision, out in Oregon. And he said, Tony, we love your laser engraving system. We'd love to buy a laser welder. We know we need it, but you've been to our place. We don't have any floor space. Where are we going to put this thing? Your machine is too big. And we went, okay, let's make a small one. And so we met with the engineering team and we came up with what we needed to do. We built it and now it's a product. And that's how everything we've done continues to go down the line. So it's based on like what you're saying, right? Identifying those needs and building around it.
Mhm. It's interesting to like the experience the team had before making that leap. It seems like such an important like gaining that experience to like identify what the both what the problem is, how to approach a solution, and like what should and shouldn't be included moving forward. I feel like it streamlines that process quite a bit.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we're very open to is like, let's try it, right?
Hmm.
If it doesn't work, we know, and we'll make adjustments for the next one. But let's try it. What do we think we're going to do? And I wish that there was a predictive model for building laser welding machines, but there really isn't. We got to try it out and see what works and what doesn't work. Um, but it's led us down this path to try new things and try new materials. We just bought our third or fourth, I think, 3D printer to be able to make certain parts that we need when it comes to building the machines or fixtures or when we're doing production welding. And so, taking advantage of all the technologies that are available and using them for what they should be used for.
Mm. Yeah. Which machines did you go for on the 3D printing side?
What do we have? We just got a metal printer from auction that we have not used yet. That's still sitting somewhere. We can't wait to see what that looks like. And then is it an Eglo? Egg glow?
It's on the polymer side or for the
Yeah,
fixturing or yeah,
yeah.
yeah, cool. Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's been great. It's been great to be able to print stuff out and test it and make sure that everything works right together, and then be able to go from there. We bought a 3D or a laser cutting system so that we can cut all our own plexiglass and lighting panels and everything to put in the machines. It's really nice when you can be independent and just use what you need and build what you need when you need it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see that continuing to evolve. And I know you know that with, the industry 4.0 that stuff that you guys are doing also.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because we're working on so part of it is data extraction for like people that would buy the laser equipment, for example. But on the machine manufacturing side, a lot of what we're doing now is like trying to enable like remote diagnostics, for
Okay.
example. Right. So how do you collect data over a period of time to ensure that you could like support maintenance on problems before it happens? Um, yeah, curious, like on your machines, like what type of um, is there maintenance required, and if so, what type of like just like standard maintenance, and how do you currently like approach that?
So what's really nice, it's like you're helping me do a sales pitch here. It's great.
Yeah,
What's
it's fun, good
what what's
conversation.
what's really nice about a fiber machine is there really is no maintenance, right? So you have to clean the lens occasionally, or
Mhm.
blow out the filters, but there's no lamps that need to be replaced. There's no mirrors that need to be adjusted. It's basically you you invest in the technology, and then it works.
Mhm.
So there's very, very, very little maintenance that needs to be done on this equipment, especially if it's kept in a relatively clean environment, which most things are. And we build the machine robust enough where we don't need that. Now, if you look at something like a YAG machine, that would definitely need a maintenance package that you're talking about, where you're going to have to keep up on that, because you're going to have to know, when do I have to replace mirrors, when do I have to replace lamps, when do I have to change the water in the chiller, all these
Mhm.
different things to keep the machine running smoothly. That's why we went away from all that. So we want to
Mhm.
eliminate the
Yeah.
maintenance needs.
Yeah, that's cool.
The
That's a nice
downside
to
is
have
that
for sure.
Yeah, the downside is it eliminates income because you can't
Yeah.
really sell people maintenance packages because it's not
Mhm.
needed. But
Yeah.
that's a good
But
problem to
yeah,
have.
better product. Yeah, 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 better happy customers, I'm sure, not needing to deal with that. And then for the limited maintenance that's required, is it after a certain amount of usage, or how do you determine when some of those like simple filters need to be changed and whatnot?
It's basically, we kind of tell customers, once a month, blow these filters out, they're real easy. They just pop off the front, run them under the
Yeah.
sink, blow them off, put them back in, and you're done.
Simple. Yeah. It's
Simple,
so easy.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
It would take
Nice.
us more time to build talk to you and build a maintenance package and process than it is to just say, hey, just pop these up. We'll just send you some new filters. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So tell me, what's something that you have coming up in your life that excites you?
I'm having a baby girl in a month. Not
Are
work
you?
related, but yeah. So that'll add some craziness, I'm sure.
That's
Um,
awesome. Listen, I think the personal stuff is way more fun than the work stuff. I don't know if anybody else listening believes me, but that's awesome, man. Good for you.
that's one of the kind of on the personal side, like most exciting. But this year, I'm just excited kind of on the scope of where we're working. Like, everything on the development side we do is here in the US, primarily in California, but we're starting to see significant growth outside of the US. So just serving like kind of on a global basis. So that's what I'm most excited for. Is we work with some key partners in Canada, Mexico, in the UK, and some other parts of Europe right now. So just to kind of see kind of that next evolution of being primarily serving the domestically, but having the company serve on like a global basis from here. I just finished a book called Changing World Order, and it talks about like the rise and fall of civilizations, and it's quite interesting, like the key determinants that do this, and innovation obviously feeds a lot of the other critical parts of society,
Right.
education, the value system, stuff like that. So I just think it's so important to be able to create here, serve here, but also serve. It's such a global economy today. Like there's no way getting away from that. So I think it's just kind of an exciting thing to be able to do.
I think it's very cool. Just that idea of, serving at home first, right? You got to start here. But
Mm-hmm.
you're right. If you can do stuff and it's software related across the globe, that's awesome. I mean, there's no reason to let China or whoever copy your software and piggyback it and try and steal the market from you when you can just like implement it here. We'll show you how to use it. Go.
Exactly. And we do like self installation on a lot of our stuff. So we'll work on the schematic, like the design and installation package, work with our customers, ship, and then they do it themselves. So we're able to service that a lot here. One of my questions is, because you were buying in equipment, right, from Europe, from Germany at one point, have you, now that you've created this product, like seen, like, is there interest? Because obviously there's a ton of tool making here, but there's other areas in the world that like could use your product. Have you approached that, or what is your approach with that?
So currently we have systems in Canada and Mexico. So if it's North America, it's a lot easier. Once we go outside of North America, I mean, we don't necessarily believe in having reps, or whether it's sales reps or service reps. We feel very strongly that nobody's going to represent our brand and act with the same kind of alliance grit and values that we have. Especially if it's just a 1 or 2 time sale that they're going to do. And so for us, we feel very strongly that if somebody's going to go out on location and represent us, they need to know that they're from our company, that they have our values, that they're going to act in a certain way, that they're going to treat customers in a certain way. And so for us to try and go to Europe, I feel like there's a lot of laser manufacturers in Europe currently, and I don't know that the juice would be worth the squeeze. And it might be better to just focus home and diversify here. So with all the plastic injection molders here and all the mold builders here, that's a huge number, right? And we're not going to have 100% of the market, and we know that, which is why we started breaking into other areas, doing production welding and more custom manufacturing when it comes to welding applications or engraving applications,
Yeah.
so that we don't have to stay in the plastics industry. We can move out to wherever, whatever that looks like. And that's been a big kind of initiative for us in the last couple of years to try and figure out that next step. How do we get to that next place? And we can do that here. We can stay focused on the U.S. And do that, because I don't know. You tell me. In Europe, do people value an American-made product in Europe, or are they looking for a European-made product? Would they rather have a German-made product?
Yeah, it's really so it depends on the country in Europe, probably,
Okay.
right? Like different countries might have a different, like, be receptive in different ways. Um, I think what's interesting though is how we're using our product, how customers are using our product here
Mm-hmm.
might be different than the applications over there. Like one of the things we're seeing in the UK, for example, in Europe as a whole, there's a pretty major like energy crisis right now.
Yep.
Which here it's not like we're pretty energy independent, right? I don't. I mean, obviously, like gas went up, but it's nothing like what's happened there. So
Yeah.
for them, like while like we're looking at like different like data collection metrics. There, they're looking at like energy consumption, for example. So it's, I think, similar to what you're saying here with finding the like looking at different applications for that your core technology can serve.
Yep.
That's been our approach with different markets, whether it's domestic or international, is what, back to the customer and their need, like what is their business need, what are they looking for, how could we help them enhance their day to day, and then we try to, instead of saying, like, we try to mold our product around that versus vice versa.
I got it. And that makes sense, right? You have to start at the customer need. What does the customer
Mhm.
need? And then build around that and show them that you can meet their needs where they're at. Not you have to fit in our box or we can't help you.
Yeah, exactly. And the world is, I mean, because B2C has driven that so much, I think it's starting to happen in like a B2B environment as well.
Yeah. So I saw that you are also you're big on artificial intelligence. That kind of freaks me out. Not that you're into it. That's not what freaks me out, but that the artificial intelligence idea kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't been too freaked out about it, and then this whole chat GPT thing came out, and it's kind of interesting. But then I saw another thing with, like, have you seen that or played around with it at all? The
I have
chat
not played
GPT?
around with it. Like I said, it's basically like a snake to me. I don't want to go near it. It kind of freaks me out. I don't understand it. Um, I don't know what to expect from it. But tell me, what are your thoughts on it?
Um, I I think it goes back to value system, right? I think how it's I mean, this is kind of a weird thought, but it's like a car, right? Like you could use it to get your family from like A to B, or you could use it in really bad ways. And I think if the like what's the use of anything is going to determine if it's good or bad, and that comes back down to like a value system. So I think that's going to be really important with the framework, and how it's used, and who's in has the capacity to use it. So time will tell, right? I could only hope for the best. It's still limited in a lot of capacity, but I think it'll become a useful tool. I think like a lot of how the way we're using it, like we have a lot of like really useful. One of the tool sets we built now is factories could go in, they could see in real time like a specific job, like within all the different routing steps of a job, if like where they're making money and losing money. The AI does like a ton of analytics that we've built
Okay.
on saying like this routing step for this job, this part, this client is caught is like has a profitability issue. You're losing money like right here, right? Like I think that's a really good application for the AI, but it's not. There's still the human element to it. Okay, like thank you for telling me where my problem is. What are you going to do about it?
But how do I fix
Um,
it?
Exactly, exactly. So there's still that human element. So it's more of an enablement than anything else. I think, like, autocorrect on a Word document. It's not going to write your essay for you. Now it is writing for you. So I guess
Now,
that's
and
that.
that's the thing. Now it's writing for you. And sometimes autocorrect, like You sit there and you're like, no, that's what I want to say. Stop
Yeah.
correcting it. Stop telling me I'm wrong. This is what I want to say. I actually need to swear at this person right now. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's it's okay. It's okay.
Yep. Yep. For sure.
Or I see all the ads now where it's like, don't hire a copywriter, just let AI do it. Drop in a couple things and boom, you've got your article. And
Yeah.
it's like there you lose the human element to that, right? I like reading things from people that I know because
Mm.
I can actually like picture them saying it and hear their
Mm.
voice through it. And I think
The
that
tone.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the fear is that that's going to get lost.
Hmm. Yeah, time will tell. I mean, I don't think it picks up tone yet. That'll be interesting to see. But I mean, AI, if you give it enough sample work, it probably can pick up on a tone and then write back in that tone, I bet.
Again,
Which is also, yeah, yeah,
freaks me out
scary
a little
thought.
bit.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's probably
Especially
inevitable at this point.
because like so much is done now via text and email and just words and copy, right? Like people used to freak out about the automation coming because we don't want Cyberdyne, we don't want Terminator to come and rule the world, and we're afraid of robots. But like robots, you just unplug them and they're going to run out of battery and they're going to stop. But
Hmm.
this like the world is so controlled with emails and words and texts and everything else that once that's programmed, I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm just being a sky is falling person and I need my strainer aluminum foil cap or something. Vanessa saying yes, I'm a crazy person.
No, no, you don't want content overload too, right? Like there's only so much time in the day, and then if people are like taking advantage of these tools, like how do you sift through the nonsense?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of that, right? The world is inundated with nonsense and noise, and it's hard to hear the rest of things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Just
agreed.
wait. Just wait till the baby girl comes, then you're gonna have noise coming out your.
Yeah, everywhere.
So get all your travel in now, and then kabosh.
Yeah, we're already, yeah, we got some in last year, and we're done. We're buckled in.
It's good. It's good. So let me ask you, what do you consider yourself an expert at?
Yeah, I would say like that the crossroad between like business and technical.
Okay.
I'm not like the most technical engineer out there by far, but like if you sit me down in a room with a group of engineers and we're talking through stuff, like I'll be able to grasp it and at a minimum understand it and hopefully be able to add a thing or two that adds value. And then also like tying that into sustainability within a business. Let's not just create amazing things that aren't going to be sustainable. I think that the crossroad between and early on to being able to see that and then like execute into a place where it can scale and grow and develop is where my expertise is.
And those are important, especially being able to merge those things together and see and be able to explain value to people when you're helping them to make decisions.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of time, I mean, it is really important, right? Because a lot of times those things are happening siloed, separate from each other, and like creating synergies between those two is, I think, what really enables businesses to excel and succeed. And a lot of times there could be frustration, disappointment towards not being heard, or like a like tension. And I think
Yep.
trying to relieve some of that within organizations is a lot of where I spend my time and a lot of what I do internally as well, within our company. So
Yep. All right. How about this one? What's the main thing that influences your decisions?
that's a good question. Um, yeah, I think the people that I work with. I think really all the decisions I make, it goes back to like um, that underlying aspect of how is this going to impact like the people around me. How do these decisions is going to do two things simultaneously, is I think it's important to know like the goals of the people you work with, because people do have their individual goals, and then what is the business goals, right? And how does the decisions progress in a synergistic way, those two things?
Yeah, how do you merge those all together, right? How do you balance the needs of the people and the needs of the company and make sure that both are successful in in every way possible, right?
Yeah, creating win-wins, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm really big with that. I don't believe that like for one person to win, another person has to lose. A lot of people operate like that. That's not yeah my way of the world. I try to avoid those scenarios. Like, but if someone operates like that and is coming in aggressive, you got to do what you got to do,
Well,
right?
I agree with you. I mean, that's where problem solving comes together. That's where that collaboration and cooperation works, right?
Mm,
And it's so hard to work with somebody when they need to get their way and only their way, and they don't want to have that open back and forth where like, hey, let's you and I are a team, and the problem is uh, is our competition. So how do you and I work together to defeat our combined competition, which is the problem that we both have?
yeah, definitely. And sometimes you could be in a scenario where there's a customer and like 2 points of competition, like need to serve that customer simultaneously. And a lot of times you see it become a unnecessary competition versus, again, going back to that purpose of why are we doing this in the first place?
Right.
Who are we trying to serve?
Right. And that's why, I think it's important, an issue comes up and you tell the customer, hey, this is an issue that we're looking at together. How do we solve this? What do we do? What does it look like?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say, what's a win to you, right? Tell me your
Mhm.
win. We both know what we need to do. How do we get there together?
Yeah, for sure. And the point about like solving like if a problem exists, like one of the things I've learned is problems are going to happen no matter what. It's just how life goes, and it's so much more important that when problems arise, like focusing on this, like what is the solution, and being consistent about like showing a capacity to solve a problem is more important than avoiding problems happening. Obviously, you don't and having problems repeat itself. Those are the two things. It's okay for there to be a problem, but it shouldn't repeat itself and needs to get resolved.
And how do you respond, right? So
Mhm.
we'll do a demo for a customer, or we'll go out on the road or whatever that looks like. And if a problem comes up, the response has to be immediate, right? You have to at least call the customer and or let them know while you're there. Listen, this is what's going on. We don't have a fix for it at this exact moment. We're going to go back. We're going to meet with the engineering team. We're going to come back to you and we're going to get this resolved. And then actually
Mhm.
following up and doing that, but having the courtesy to have the conversation with the customer or even your team or whoever that is, right? What's the problem? How are we going to address it? And then actually taking that step. And sometimes what we found is the response is better. Like having an issue with a positive response is better than not having the issue at all. I'm not saying manufacture issues, but sometimes the customer is really receptive to the way that you can handle that if you do it in a good way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm into that.
It shows a lot of character when you can when something comes up and you don't freak out and you can just stay calm and composed and deliver a solution and just walk somebody through what that's going to look like and ease their pain at the same time and deliver. So it's all good stuff. But like you said, problems come up. It's just how you handle them. And we talk about that in our meetings all the time. And it's like, you know, I don't ever expect us to be problem free. That is an impossible dream. We are in a fallen, sinful, broken world, and there will continue to be issues every single day. What I want to look at is what are the things that we can do to eliminate the issue from happening again. And so I would rather see 100 new issues than the same one happen 10 times, because then you're not learning, you're not getting any better. But if a new issue is coming up, it's a learning opportunity, it's a growth opportunity, it's a way to make ourselves better. It's just when that same thing happens over and over again, that's what makes me crazy. It gives me a tick.
Yep. Same.
Can't handle it. Especially when people are like, it's okay, stuff happens. You're like, no, different stuff needs to happen,
Yeah.
not the same stuff. We fixed that.
Why is it? Yeah. Why is it this rock turning over with the same problem again?
Yeah. And maybe the solution you came up with was a bad solution to fix that problem, and that's why it came up again. But you can't. I don't like. I hate is a very strong word. I hate when people don't want to address things. They just want to sweep them under the rug and hope that nobody will notice.
No.
But then what happens is you start tripping over the rug because there's so much dirt and stuff under the rug that nobody wants to deal with, that now you got to deal with it. And it's not a small little bit. It's not like sweeping in the dustpan. You got to break out the shop vac and you got to just like do an overhaul.
Yeah, and anything that's not fixed properly the first time, it's gonna break again. Like it's just
100%.
it's just, and even when things are like, and everything like kind of eventually does break, right? Like nothing is forever. So it's like, do you want it to like break sooner or later? And yeah, the less things can break, the better. So
Yes. I had my wife and I wanted to put in hardwood floors in our house. And this is a stupid segue, but I already started it. We wanted to put hardwood floors in our house, and a friend of mine at church was like, Tony, we can do this. We can do this. This isn't a big deal. We get a couple guys from church. We'll rip out all the floor. We'll put it in all the new floor. It'll be like, 2 weeks. And I was like, no, not doing it. And they're like, come on, it'd be fun. We could do it. I was like, no, listen, I don't like to hang a picture that has to have 2 screws in the wall at the same time, because if it's a smidge off, my wife wants me to redo it. And how do you move one screw? You can't just move one screw down a tiny little bit.
yeah,
And
you got to
so
redo the whole thing. Yeah,
that's just hanging a picture. There's no way I'm going to try and do a whole floor. Are you crazy? Because I know I'm going to cheat one corner. And once you cheat that one corner, it's going to affect the whole rest of the floor, and it's going to have ramifications that go through the whole rest of the house.
Yeah, this is why it's also so important, like when you are problem solving, to be in the right mindset and give your like make sure like the time and space to do it right, because otherwise like you're just going to go through the process rushing through, not doing it appropriately. And yeah, it's important to take a step back sometimes.
And I think bring the right people together to solve the problem in the first place. Instead of like
Yeah.
you come up with solutions and you're like, all right, I got it. And then you share it with somebody and they're like, well, you should do this instead. Or you got 4 people and one person comes in later and they revamp the whole thing. And you're like, well, where were you? Where were you before?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good point, is like having the right people during the discernment period, right?
Yeah.
Where you're, before you go and like decide this is how we're going to solve it, to have the right people in at that point, because they come in too late, could waste a whole bunch of time and resources solving the problem the wrong way.
Yeah. All right, dude. We covered a lot of stuff. Anything else you want to talk about before I let you go here?
Just thank you for your time. This was fun. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks at the conference out here in California. Have a safe trip, and yeah, thanks for having me. It was a blast.
How do people get a hold of you to talk about any of the stuff that you talked to us about?
Yeah, for sure. I think LinkedIn's probably the best way. Just if you search my name, Zakary, Zakary Smith, through Instaversal, Cool Tool, or Mad Inventive, I'll pop up, connect with me, shoot me a message. Happy to get on the phone, go through anything. So yeah, just it's an open line of communication. Perfect.
I gotta say, you've done a good job of like hiding yourself from online stuff. Like I always try and do some back digging and some some recon work to find out like some not demons. That's not the right word, but just to find out other things for additional conversations. Man, you're like a ghost. I don't even know if this is your name. I can't find you anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Don't challenge anyone. You don't want to see what you might find out.
All right. So we always end every show with a prayer. Do you have any prayer requests?
No. Do I have any prayer requests? No. I'll let you lead the way. Yeah.
You don't expect that question on a manufacturing show, do you?
No, it wasn't.
I got to keep you on your toes. That means you haven't watched the show either.
Listen,
You
that
don't
is
have to
true.
answer. You just never made it to the end.
No, well, to be honest, when we connected on this, I saw the rebranding of the show, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, we just did
right,
that too. Yeah.
yeah, and it's great. So that really stuck out to me. So there you go. I'm a new viewer, and I was fortunate enough to be present.
Do you think that?
Yeah, let me
Do you
set up.
think? Do you think your sister would approve of the new branding?
I like it. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. Yeah, this tool is great too. By the way, I think it's really cool how you do the live streaming to the different platforms and include the ability for audiences. Now, you know you'll be getting a question from me live in the future, though. I promise you that.
Yeah. I listen.
Keep the
I
conversation going.
I'd love it. I would love it. And we can do this as many times as you want. Or are you going to tell me, listen, Tony, we're never doing this again? It was terrible.
No,
I
we'll do
don't
it
even like
again
you
for
anymore.
sure. No, we'll do it again.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks for being part of the industry and like being willing to share your expertise and not just keep it to yourself, so that the industry as a whole grows. It's a unique thing, and just I appreciate your energy and like how you're always positive and outgoing. And the first time you were here, you wanted to learn everything about our facility, even though we'd never even met. You were here with Paul Britton for the golf outing. And it was like I had a new best friend. It was awesome.
Well, I'll have to show you a good timeout when you come as well. Yeah, no, the event you threw, I love how everything ties together, both from an industry perspective and a charity perspective. Yeah, like a lot of times, like again, silos, but like, why do we go to work every day, right? To support our families, to support our community. So why not try to really tie that together closely? So thank you for being such a good role model and leader doing that. And I hope to follow your way a bit in some of those things. So
Well, if you have time when we're out in Anaheim on that Monday, I'll
yeah,
send you all the
I should be
information.
able to. I think that's great, and I'll also spread the word for part of some of the people in the community. I know a lot of factories and operations out there, so we'll try to get a bunch of people.
Awesome. I'll shoot you an email with all the info.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Have a good one.
You too.
Well, that was Zakary Smith. Like I said, he's a good dude. I've known him for a couple of years now, and he's always that guy, right? He's always got that same kind of energy every time I've seen him, and that's all I've heard from anybody that's ever known him. So I love that about people when you know who you're going to get, and it's that authenticity of who they are as a person, and what they're going to give. He left and we can pray. So we're going to pray real quick and then we're going to go. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to talk with Zakary and just share his knowledge and what's happening. Thanks for his passion for people and loving people. And I just pray that came over and people realize that. And as business owners, as leaders, as mentors, or as whatever you see yourself, make sure you're loving people. And if you truly love people, then your work will be done. And we just pray that you'll continue to keep us safe and that you'll watch over us and that you would get all the glory. And it's in Jesus' name. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, if you are interested in being part of the E210 event, that is going to be the 6th, February 6th. We are also going to have an event leading up to PT Expo, but more information on that to come. So E210 on the 6th, MR Mold Golf Outing on the 10th. I hope to see you at all three of those things. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Take care and God bless.